Reach into your pocket and pull out a coin or a banknote. Look at it. It's a small disc of cheap metal or a printed slip of paper. On its own, it's almost worthless. You couldn't eat it, you couldn't build with it, and yet you could walk into a shop and trade that worthless little token for food, for clothes, for almost anything you want. Why? Why does everyone agree that this thing has value? Who decided that? And how did the entire human race end up trusting little tokens more than almost anything else on Earth? This is the story of money, where it came from, and the strange and brilliant idea hiding inside every coin. How we got here. Let's start by imagining a world with no money at all, because for most of human history, that's exactly how it was. If there's no money, how do you get what you need? You trade. You have something someone wants, they have something you want, and you swap. This is called barter, and it sounds simple enough. But try living that way, and you run straight into a wall. Say you're a farmer with a basket of wheat, and you need a new pair of sandals, so you walk to the sandal maker. But here's the problem. The sandal maker has plenty of wheat already. He wants fish. So now you have to go find a fisherman who wants wheat, trade for fish, carry the fish back to the sandal maker before it rots, and hope he hasn't changed his mind. For a trade to happen, both people have to want exactly what the other has at exactly the same time, and most of the time they don't. On top of that, how many baskets of wheat is a goat worth? Nobody can agree, and you can't save your wealth because wheat rots and animals die. Barter, it turns out, is a slow, frustrating mess. Humans needed something better. They needed a thing that everyone would accept always. And here's the first surprise of our story. The first money wasn't coins at all. Long before coins existed, people started using everyday valuable things as a kind of in-between. Instead of trading wheat directly for sandals, you'd trade your wheat for something everybody wanted, and then use that to buy your sandals. The trick was picking the right something. In many early societies, that something was cattle. A cow was valuable, useful, and widely wanted, so cattle became a way of measuring wealth. In fact, our word capital comes from the Latin word for the head of an animal, and the word pecuniary, which means to do with money, comes from the Latin word for cattle. Our money words still have cows hiding inside them. In ancient Mesopotamia, people used measures of barley grain. In huge parts of Africa and Asia, for thousands of years, people used cowrie shells, small, pretty tough seashells that were easy to carry, hard to fake, and almost impossible to wear out. And the Romans valued salt so highly that soldiers were sometimes paid in it. That's where our word salary comes from, and why we still say a good worker is worth their salt. So the first money was simply useful things that everyone agreed to accept. But these still had problems. Cattle are hard to carry, grain takes up space. The world was ready for the next leap. That leap happened around 2600 years ago in a kingdom called Lydia, in what is now Turkey. The Lydians had a natural mix of gold and silver called electrum, and someone there had a brilliant idea. Instead of weighing out a lump of precious metal every single time you wanted to trade, slow and easy to cheat on, why not melt the metal into small, even pieces, all the same weight, and stamp each one with the mark of the king? That stamp changed everything, because the king's mark was a promise. It said, "This piece contains exactly this much precious metal, guaranteed." You didn't have to weigh it, you didn't have to test it, you just had to trust the stamp. And suddenly, trading was fast. You could glance at a coin and know exactly what it was worth. These first coins were a sensation. The idea spread like wildfire to the Greeks, the Persians, and beyond, because coins solved every problem at once. They were small and easy to carry. They didn't rot or die. You could make them in different sizes for different values. They were hard to counterfeit, and everyone agreed on what they were worth. The first time, humanity had real, portable, trustworthy money. Now let's pause and ask, why did coins work so well? Because they quietly did several jobs at once, and good money has done those same jobs ever since. Good money has to be portable, easy to carry, so you can take your wealth with you. It has to be durable, it can't rot or rust away, so it holds your wealth over time. It has to be divisible, you can split it into smaller amounts to buy small things or big things. It has to be hard to fake, or anyone could just make their own, and it would become worthless. And the deepest one of all, everyone has to agree it has value. Cattle failed the portable test. Grain failed the durable test. But a stamped metal coin passed every test. That's the secret of why coins conquered the world. They were the first thing that did all 5 jobs at once. But the story doesn't stop with metal, because coins had one last weakness. In large amounts, they're heavy. Imagine being a merchant who has to carry 1,000 coins across a country. Your back aches, and bandits can see exactly what you've got. The solution came from China more than 1,000 years ago. Chinese merchants began leaving their heavy coins with a trusted person who gave them a written note saying how much they'd deposited. The note was light. You could fold it up and tuck it away. And then came the clever part. People realized they could simply trade the notes themselves instead of going back for the coins at all. The paper became the money. Eventually, the Chinese government took over and printed official paper money. When the European traveler Marco Polo visited China and saw this, he could hardly believe it. In his world, money was gold and silver, real, heavy, precious. And here was a whole empire happily trading slips of printed paper as if they were treasure. He wrote about it as if he'd seen magic. But it wasn't magic. It was trust, taking one more step. People trusted that the paper could always be exchanged for something real. And as long as they trusted it, the paper worked exactly like gold. And that brings us to the deepest idea in this whole story. The thing that makes money work isn't the gold, or the metal, or the paper. It's trust. It's agreement. A coin is valuable because everyone around you agrees to treat it as valuable. A banknote in your pocket is, physically, just paper and ink. It's worth something only because an entire society has quietly agreed that it is, and because you trust that tomorrow, they'll still agree. Money is a kind of shared story that millions of strangers all believe at the same time. And that shared belief is one of the most powerful forces humans have ever created. It lets people who will never meet, who don't speak the same language, who don't trust each other at all, still cooperate and trade. You can actually see this truth in modern money. Long ago, many countries promised that their paper money could be swapped for real gold. But over time, they dropped that promise. Today, the note in your wallet isn't backed by gold sitting in a vault. It's backed by nothing but trust in the country that issued it, and the shared agreement of everyone who uses it. And it works perfectly well because that trust is real. So who invented money? The honest answer is no single person and no single moment. Nobody woke up one morning and invented it. Money grew slowly over thousands of years as humans kept solving the same problem. How do strangers trade fairly and store what they've earned? From cattle to grain to shells to salt, from the first stamped coins of Lydia to the first paper notes of China, each step was someone finding a better way to carry trust around. And that's what money really is. Not the coin, not the paper. The coin is just the container. What's actually inside it, the thing humanity truly invented, is a way to turn trust into something you can hold in your hand and pass to a stranger. We didn't invent money. We invented a way to trust each other at a distance. The coins were just how we carried it. Next time you hand over a coin, remember, you're not really passing someone a piece of metal. You're passing them a tiny piece of a promise that the whole world has agreed to keep. It makes you wonder what we'll be trading with 1,000 years from now, and whether it will be anything you can hold at all. If you ever wondered how we got here, you're in the right place. See you in the next one.